for me, where the link up between the midfield and the strikers up top, we really miss. So yeah, set pieces. I think what Hamer brings to the game as well is not just his set play, but it's when he gets the ball with it's his drive. When we need that person to click us into gear if the chips are down and the momentum's with the opposition. Hamer's the one that I always find grabs the game by the scruff of the neck. So yeah, he's going to be a big miss, but I expect probably Allen to drop in there with Sheaf sitting in front of the back three as such. So yeah, it'll be a big blow, but I think when he comes back, he'll be really eager to get back on the good side of the fans.
We just need a 90-minute performance, don't we? More importantly for this game, because we've only played 2 games. I thought Sunderland we were decent, but Millwall was a game really of a missed opportunity there, wasn't it? We should have got a bare minimum point, and to come away with nothing was disappointing. With Hull, as Benedict alluded to earlier, the amount of interest they have, do you feel it's a great opportunity to pick up these 3 points?
I think so. It's a big opportunity. I think the pitch is in good condition. We won't go into our pitch's condition, but I think we're a good footballing side, and I think we're going to get better throughout the season. I think with there's been a lot of negativity surrounding the club at the moment with the Wasps, the pitch, not playing our home games. But I think there's no time to panic. I think the Millwall game, yes, was frustrating. It was in our hands. We were 2-0 up. Our keeper's had a rush of blood to the head and come out and gone to collect a ball that's just he had no right to be anywhere near, and it even bounced in the 6-yard box, so it shows. And then we gave Millwall that glimmer of hope, and then Hamer gets sent off, and we're trying to. We still went for it. To be fair, the players still tried to win the game, but it's frustrating walking away with a loss there when we're 2-0 up. But I think we should just wipe that clean, not worry too much. We're 2 games in. We've had 2 away games. Sunderland was always going to be a tough game. Millwall have always been top half over the last couple of seasons, and they look like they're going to be quite strong again this season. So I'm not really panicking too much. I think going to Hull, we really need a performance, and like you say, a 90-minute performance as well. So interesting game, especially with Hull having a change of squad, new players in. They've got a couple of injuries, but yeah, I think I'm quite confident we can go there and get a result.
Yeah, bringing Benedict back here. I mean, what's Hull's aspirations looking ahead to just the season in general? What do you think is a good season for Hull City?
I think a good season would be the top half. I think some people maybe have got carried away with the signings that we brought in. I think, yes, whilst they are good signings, need to be realistic. It's not going to be a overnight fix where we're going to be challenging for the playoffs. I hope I'm wrong. I predicted us to come 10th, I think, at the start of the season. I think that'd still be a good season, even though the start we've had, people will be hoping for a bit more with the promise that we've shown.
Yeah. I've got a slight confession to make. I didn't broadcast this podcast live until later on, so I did it about 5 or 10 minutes ago. So whoever's been listening to this will notice that you'll be listening to this in mid-flow, so it's completely my fault. I didn't press the button, so I'm still getting to know this new technology, so I do apologise. But the reason why I mentioned that is because I've had a question here from our esteemed colleague Glenn Watkin, the Sky Blue Hub. So just to go back to King Lewis Potter, I mean, he's been missed, isn't he? Big blow for Hull, would you say?
Been a bit weird. Because obviously the season that he had, everyone sort of thought, yeah, maybe he could get a move, but then a lot of people, myself included, thought on the playing side might be season too early for him. Obviously, he's only had 1 season in the Championship, but then from the money side for the club and for the player, you can see why it's happened. Like 6-year contracts in the Premier League at that age, any footballer would probably do the same thing to give himself the financial security. It was a shame to see him go because he's come a long way in the 2.5 seasons that he was properly with the first team. But I think hopefully with the signings that we're still linked with and players that have come in that can step up in his absence.
Yeah, I think he's a very talented player. I think he'll prove to be a very good sign for Brentford. Glenn also asked a question about Jacob Greaves. Would you say he's almost been your best signing signing the contract?
Yeah, definitely up there. There was speculation of him obviously leaving, and some people were saying, does that question his loyalty to the football club? But I think I wasn't particularly concerned about it, because there was rumours about the one disagreement that there was rejected offers, something to do with the length, and then out of the blue it came out that it's signed a 4-year contract. So if it was about the length, then clearly he wants to be here for a long period of time. And he's one of our own. His dad used to play for us as well years ago. So I'd say that it's definitely been one of the best deals of the summer, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah. I mean, I think just looking ahead to the game from a commentary point of view, I think it's a tough game really. Although we're coming to the game fresh, I think the lack of football could be quite difficult really without a lot of football. And I think, having said that, I think it's a game we can win. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. In terms of team lineup, Reece, how do you think the Skyboys will feature? Will they go 2 up front in your view?
Yeah, I think we have to, Mark. I think obviously Godden is off the mark. Guyaka has scored. Our Big Vic scored against Sunderland. So I think they could be building a good relationship there up top. I think keeping Vic will be key. I think I still think there's a little twist coming in towards the end of the transfer window, but and as well keeping Godden fit, because we can see his goals to game ratio. It's clear to see that he's if we keep him fit for a full season, he could easily score 15 plus. And as well as Vic creates a lot of chances, he's a nightmare for defenders. He's really good on the turn, runs direct, still quite good in the air. His finishing is probably the only thing I'd say he needs to improve on, but he's still young. But then we've got Godden, who's just a natural fox in the box goal scorer. So I think you have to play 2 up top, to be honest, especially with O'Hare missing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I looked at our team for Saturday, and I'd go 2 up front. I think when I was speaking with the Hull and Back podcast yesterday, and one of the comments I was making was Casey Palmer. Is it a game for him to start in? I mean, bearing in mind, is he fit? I mean, that's the other question. Would if he's fit, Reece, would Casey Palmer be in your team?
I think so. If Hamer was available, I would drop Allen, to be honest. I think Allen is too inconsistent. I think the game against Millwall, he was brilliant for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then he goes missing. A lot of people might disagree. Maybe it's just my opinion. I think he covers a lot of ground, but Allen playing at number 10, I'd rather see him a bit deeper in like a number 6 role, playing maybe even alongside Sheaf. So I think Palmer has to start. Look, he's our only permanent signing so far for the first team. Is he fit enough? Is a question mark, but I think he needs to play, because we all want to see what he's got. He comes a bit of a mixed bag in the sense of where he was at Bristol City, but he comes in high regard from Chelsea. So wasn't that long ago. I think he's a £3 million player. So I think we need to give him an opportunity. I don't want Palmer to be tied in with the bright situation we had last season with Bakare, where we knew how good he was because we had him on loan. We brought him back and he didn't even feature. So I think he needs to be given an opportunity for sure and start showing what he's got. And I think key is to give him games, because giving him 10-minute cameos here and there to come on and try and create something is not, the fans are not going to see the potential that he may have.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd say with Casey Palmer for me is that I think AD Vivash knows him quite well from his days at Chelsea. And although Bristol City, he didn't get, don't think Bristol City or fans, shall I say, were particularly raised him very highly. But I think with AD Vivash, who's obviously been with Chelsea, I'm hoping that we can get the best out of him.
If someone can, he will.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I think one player who won't be featuring, who used to play for Hull, is Todd Kane. I think his days are numbered, isn't it? Do you agree, Reece? His days are numbered at City.
I think so. I think there's a lot of rumours, a lot of issues that have happened throughout the summer and last season. Dabo is by far our best option there. But again, it's key to keep him fit. He gets a lot of muscle injuries, but when he's fully fit, Dabo is a class player. With Kane, he started off well, first sort of eight games maybe, and then his performances really dipped. In his defence, he was carrying an injury and still played, considering Dabo was still out. But yeah, there's clearly something that's happened beyond closed doors. That if you listen to rumours, you listen to rumours. But I think eventually it will come out. But by the sounds of it, he is out. But I think he's got to have an operation anyway. So I think that probably takes away the opportunity of us trying to get rid of him before the transfer window closes next week.
Was Benedict? What was Todd Kane like for Hull in his time there? Was he a player that kind of fizzled out for you, started well, fizzled out? Because that's the impression we have as fans. Or was you just not a fan of him at all? Or was you a fan?
He was okay. The main overriding memory that a lot of people have got is when we played against West Brom away, scored 2 absolute worldies there. And he did really well in his debut. I think his debut was against Derby, and he scored as well then. But he was a bit inconsistent, like a lot of our side was in that exact same season. So he wasn't anything special, but he wasn't bad either.
Yeah. I think for us, he was. He started off. He scored a worldie against Bournemouth last season. Whether he meant it or not is another thing. But I think for me, his concentration can be lacking at times at the back, and he makes silly mistakes. But even Hamer, for example, at our club, it can be like that as well. So, but I think he's falling. From what I understand, I think he's fallen out with Robbins, and I think he's on his way. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Whether it's September or January, we'll see what happens. Speaking of speculation news, Reece, another comment from someone called Glenn Watkin, who I've never heard of in my life. Wants to know about Blackburn's interest in Dom Hyam. The quoted figure is £2.5 million that they've offered. Do you think that's just? For me, we can't accept that. Not this close to the deadline.
Laugh it off, Mark. Laugh it off.
Yeah.
Dom Hyam for me is. He's come through League Two. He's come up with League One with us, and the improvement is like night and day from the games I watched back in League Two. For me, he's a future captain. I think I would have given him the armband this season. I know he seems a little bit quieter, but Kelly is constantly injured now. Personally, I'd love to see Kelly back, but I can't see it. There's too many injuries. McFadzean, I would probably say this will be his last season. I still think McFadzean can do a job, especially against a big ugly striker, as you say, who's quite physical. But I think we need to look to the future. I think McFadzean, like I said, I'll be surprised if he's still in the team at Christmas. That's not a criticism of him. I just think that we could possibly have better options. I would like to see Hyam in the middle of the three. I'd give him the armband and give him that responsibility. But the £2.5 million speculation is ridiculous. For me, he's worth a lot more than that, and he's not going anywhere. I can't see it.
No, I think 2.5 million is a pittance, and it takes the Michael, or word stronger will apply. I would probably say 6 or 7 million personally, and then we may be talking, but we haven't got a big enough squad as it is, and we can't really afford to. I know we don't have money to spend, but even if we were to do business with someone like a Blackburn, you would want to do the business, at the start of the summer, to give us time to spend some money on improving the squad. That's the thing. I don't think we should be looking to sell Hyam. I think he's a key player for us at the back, probably one of our best centre halves. The other question, just slightly moving away from that in terms of the defence, what point does Callum Doyle get a look in? You alluded to the fact that Fads might not be featuring sort of as the season goes on. Do you think at some point Callum Doyle will get introduced soon? And maybe even Adriamola? I mean, he's another player, obviously hasn't featured much apart from the cup game against Bristol City. Do you think those guys will be in the thoughts of Robins? Because obviously they've come on loan for the season and they're not coming to sit on the bench, are they? So
No, that's true. I think Doyle's a young lad. He comes with a big reputation. I think he done well at Sunderland last year. I think he was in the England setup. I think didn't he win the was it the under 19s or the under 17s? But he's going to be a good player. I think the Bristol City game was, we have to write that off. It was a cup game played at Burton. It was a last minute thing. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see what he's got. Like you say, he's only here for the season, so it's not like he is a future prospect for us. We'll have to throw them both in. Bidwell, on the other hand, I think I've been quite critical of Bidwell, but I think he's the last game against Millwall. I think that was his best game, and I don't think you can drop him. He's got 2 assists in the last 2 games. Swansea fans rated him really highly, so I've got to trust their judgment at the moment, and hopefully we'll see the best of him to come. But yeah, with regards to Doyle, I think we've still got Michael Rose as well. Saying that, I know he's slightly fallen out of favour and his form dipped the tail end of last season, but I don't think we should forget Rose just yet. I think the door's still open for him to stake a claim in that starting 11. Panzo as well, who we've got from Nottingham Forest this season. From what I've seen, I think he's a really good signing. It'd be somebody I'd like to think. Well, the way Forest are signing players, I don't think he'll even get in their BC team at the minute. I think they've signed their 19th player today. Ridiculous. But they're going for Aurier from Spurs, the right back.
Oh, Serge Aurier, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But going off topic. But yeah, Panzo, I think he looks like a good player. I'd like to see him stay. I know it's only 2 games in, but you can just see naturally how good of a player he is and how comfortable he is on the ball. So regards to Hyam, I'm going back that quickly about the Blackburn speculation. I think personally for him, because it's all well and good us fans sitting here and saying, well, he shouldn't go, but money talks. But personally for Hyam's progression, I think it's a bad move for him. I don't think it would be a good move at all. I think staying with us where he's progressed into the player he is today, future captain, I think he should be as well. I think he has to stay for sure. Yeah.
Benedict, from the whole point of view, are any players that potentially, I think Cyrus Christie might be a player that you mentioned before about coming in. Is there any other players possibly could be leaving, or do you think business is done for the summer?
There is someone from Fenerbahce that we're linked with called Pelkas, who seems to be hyped up from the fans. I don't pretend to know much about him other than the fact he seems a decent player from what I've seen on YouTube. But I think apart from that, I can't really think of any rumours apart from we're actually linked with Faguli from Galatasaray, funnily enough. Yesterday, he used to play for West Ham as on the wing, who would be a decent signing because in the first few games we were playing side Manesh on the right wing. He did his hamstring at Burnley, which is a big blow because he's really key player for us. His work rate is spot on. He can pop up with assists and goals now and then. So I think we probably could do with someone in that position as a backup. I wasn't expecting anything like Sofiane Faguli, but if we got him, I wouldn't be complaining either.
Yeah. I think from a Coventry point of view, I'm hoping the business is done, but I just don't. I think Hyam, we can't afford to lose him. I guess the only good thing, Reece, is O'Hare's looks like he will be staying with us, which is a massive plus, isn't it? Go on mute, mate. I'll put you on there.
What are you doing? There you go. Two seasons. With O'Hare, I think the 2 seasons he's been with us permanently, I think he's missed 2 games. I think he's been consistent. He's been playing, the full 90 majority of the time. He gets hacked every week. Still gets up. He's a strong little lad, and he gets up and keeps going. And it's quite ironic, really, that there was huge speculation in going to Burnley, and now he's injured. And it wouldn't surprise me. I'm hearing rumours that he's back in mid-October, but I haven't heard a lot on the injury. I think it's read into it what you like, but I think if he was going to get injured, it was a perfect time for him to get injured now. So then that just puts all the speculation to bed, doesn't it? Especially with the Burnley rumours that seem to be going on for all summer. So perfect timing. He loves Cov. We love O'Hare. Perfect marriage.
Yeah,
mate, continue.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for him to come back to the team. I think he's been missed in the last. I feel like it's been out for about 2 months. He's only missed 2 games.
I know it seems that way. But I think a lot of fans have been quite critical of his lack of goals. But I think you only realise you miss O'Hare until he's not there. I think it's the link-up play, and it's how he brings the midfield into the game with the attacking, the way he runs with the ball, the chances he creates. I mean, his finishing he'll improve on, but look forward to having him back soon.
I think with O'Hare, it's just his link-up play for me. I mean, if you look at, say, the Millwall game, I watched the 90 minutes of the Millwall game. Okay, so I think we were quite direct against Millwall, and where were you missing O'Hare is that kind of the positions he finds himself in, getting himself in their pockets. So he picks the ball up from deep. He can run at players. He can link up the strikers. He wins you free kicks in good positions. There's the fact that we already say he gets fouled a lot of times, like last season, and we miss someone like that. I mean, I haven't seen enough of Casey Palmer yet to form an opinion of him. I think he's probably a different type of player, a big, strong, physical type of player. But
big lad, isn't he?
He's a big lad, yeah. But yeah, I mean, O'Hare has been a big miss, and I think hopefully when he comes back, he'll be starting. Benedict's will be happy to know that he won't be playing on Saturday.
That's true.
Yeah, I can see the smile on his face there. So, and disappointment, which I'm disappointed in my face anyway. But no, I think he'll be a big player for us this season. One bit of good news though, Reece, is the pitch is ready for Preston. That's a big tick in the box. It's been a long time coming. I mean, it's just been absolutely dreadful, isn't it? With this whole malarkey with pitches and not safe to play the Commonwealth Games. I mean, what's your overall view on the Wasps and Sky Blues situation there?
Well, it's embarrassing. Haven't Cov fans suffered enough over the years, going to Northampton, then the big return, and then off to Birmingham, and then the big return. We've seen we started off really well with our home games last season, and they sort of dipped. But record season ticket sales, fair play. They're coming back. The bums are back on seats. Got Robbins has built a good footballing side, an exciting side to watch, and then this happens. I don't want to get into the politics of it. I just think the fans are suffering, the players are suffering. Mark Robbins, Stoke, there's rumours that apparently he's favourite to go to Stoke. I don't think he will, but Robbins has built something very special at this club, and how many times is he essentially going to be slapped in the face? He obviously signed the contract the end of last season to stay again. So you would expect that them conversations with the board were positive for him to stay. Now we've had to pay out for the pitch to be replaced. I think the positive outcome, which all Cov fans want, is that Wasps leave. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. As much as they are in debt, I just feel that they're going to somehow wriggle out of it, or it's a tough one because with Sisu, I've never been a Sisu fan, but the way I look at it is, are Sisu going to play a blinder here? Are they playing the long game where potentially they're waiting for us to go bust. They know they're going to go bust, and then we end up going and buying their part and percentage of the stadium, and then we end up renting it to them. You know, we could talk about this all night, to be honest, but I want to leave it short and sweet about that, because if Sisu pulled that off, then fair enough. You know, they made that huge mistake years ago where they were offered the stadium and didn't take up the offer. So maybe we'll see. But it's great to see that the pitch is going to be playable. I feel sorry for the season ticket holders for sure, that you know the 13,500 or even more that have signed up this season being a record, and straight away they can't get down. You know, I think what it is, it's not just a football match for fans. It's the pre-meeting up with friends. It's meeting up with family. It's, you know, I know for myself, growing up, my granddad is 95. My dad, who lives in France, myself, my daughter's now started to come. We have 4 generations that go up to a game. You know, we go up to share their memories, and I'm sure every fan in the country does that with their own club. So it's disappointing, but you know, hopefully we'll get these games rescheduled like we have with Wigan, and then we'll just forget about it. But it's not a great start, is it?
No, I think it's just been real unsettling, I think. And I mean, the news about O'Neill being sacked and Robbins being linked. I mean, personally speaking, you could see why possibly Robbins could go there. Just taking my commentary glasses off, so to speak. You know, Stoke, for example, got a ground. We don't have a ground. They've probably got money to spend. We don't have money to spend. So you could look at it simplistically like that. But I think the bond that Robbins has created with the fans, I'm hoping that in the long term he wants to get us back as the Premier League. That's the long term aim. Personally speaking, I don't think Sisu the right owners. They're not the right owners to get us back to the Premier League. Let's be honest about it. We don't have money to spend. We've got a very, very small squad. We've got 3 big players, and if those 3 big players are not on form or they're injured or suspended, obviously one of them being suspended on Saturday, we're not the same team. And
No, we're not.
You know, I just that's the biggest concern for me this season. Looking ahead, is the lack of quality in the squad, certainly in terms of depth. I mean, if Dabo gets injured, you know, obviously Todd Kane, as we said earlier, who's probably going to be leaving. Eccles is probably the next player, and Eccles is an okay player, but he's not of the quality of Fankasi Dabo, and that's the problem we've got. Midfield's another area of concern. You know, Ben Sheaf gets injured. We don't really have anyone who can play like Ben Sheaf at the moment. You know, Liam Kelly's got a hamstring injury from pre-season, so that's an area of concern. I think up front looks good. We've got what, 5 strikers on paper, so we have got options there. You know, that number 10, Casey Palmer, is hopefully now available for Saturday. But yeah, there are areas of the squad that really could do strengthening. I think when I look at the game against Millwall, we look at the way we can see the goals. We look at for example, obviously the first goal was a poor mistake by Simon Moore. And then the second goal, we get hit on the counter-attack with Ben Sheaf, who gets tackled, and then we just don't defend the situation when Hamer gets himself sent off because he just didn't track back. He was, he was caught in the wrong position and deliberately brought him down and was justifiably sent off. And the third goal, we just defend too deep. So I think it'll be quite an open game though. Looking ahead to this game, I think there'll be goals in it. Hopefully more goals in the whole City net than our net, but we'll see what happens. Predictions.
Well, Hull have had a tough run, Mark. Hull have had a tough run. I think they had Norwich, and then they've just had Burnley and West Brom away. So, to be honest, they've got 4 points in them games. I know the West Brom game, they're obviously an off day, but beating Norwich at home, I believe, was 2-1, and getting a draw away at Burnley is a good. I think it's quite a good start. So I think Hull are going to definitely go into the game full of confidence, knowing that our off-field issues and the potential rumours and stuff that's going around our club at the moment. So I think Hull fancy it. So yeah, I think you're right there, Mark. It'll be an open game.
Yeah, I think it will be, because I don't think we are. I don't think we're the best team defensively. That's just my view. I think we're okay defensively, but I just feel where we struggle is when teams hit us in the counter attack. I think there's a weakness of our side. I think sometimes we can be a bit vulnerable against the counter attack. But I'm a bit. I mean, as a Coventry fan, I think I'm a bit concerned with Estopinan from the game against West Brom. Yeah. I think he's got a bit of a threat there. Something about him, a bit of a focal point. Is that something, Benedict, that Hull have lacked in previous seasons or even last season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had the three strikers in our League One season that got over 10, 15 goals each, but then that didn't really translate into the Championship apart from Kane Lewis Potter. So I think this is the closest clinical striker we seem to have had since Abel Hernandez was here, and that's a good 4 or 5 years ago. So I think it's about time that we got someone that gets fans excited. He's shown a lot of energy and enthusiasm in the games so far and seems to have decent service going into him, apart from on Saturday, but that was Tufan. I think the second Tufan went off injured and he won't play on Saturday either, which is a bit of a concern. When he went injured in the first half, seemed to just lose a bit of composure in the midfield, which is what he's been brought to do. But I mean, we did bring on Ryan Woods for him, and he didn't really do anything wrong, but it's not quite the same level as what Tufan's brought so far.
Yeah. From what I saw the West Brom game, I thought he took his goals quite well. He looks,
yeah, definitely.
He looked like he's got an eye for a goal. Hopefully, he won't have an eye for a goal on Saturday. But
4 goals and 1 assist, I think, so far already.
Yeah.
So he's obviously the danger man.
Yeah. Let's go predictions this game. We'll go for Benedict. How do you feel the game's going to go from a whole perspective?
I don't. It could go one or two ways. I think a lot of Hull fans would say that what's happened with you off the pitch so far this season, only playing twice, would be the most typical result ever for us to go and lose. But I'm fairly confident. I'm not as confident as maybe I would have been this time last week because of a few of the injuries that we've got to big players. But just because, like you've touched on it, the lack of game time for your players, I think it'll be tight because you've got the quality still of Gyökeres, etc. So I'll go 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 Hull City. Reece, what's your prediction for the game?
I think the key is for us to start fast. I think set the tone of the game straight away. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. I think Vic is going to be the difference in the game. I think he's just a handful, isn't he? And he's very hard to defend against. He's not very predictable in his movement or when he's running with you, running with the ball towards goal. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for Sky Blues.
Yeah, you'll be pleased.
Don't sit on the fence, Mark. I'm not having it.
Not
tonight.
No. Well, you didn't listen to the whole Hull and Back podcast that was on last night, and I said 2-1 City as well. So I think it's a game that we simply need a win. You know, we need to get a first win of the season. It'd be nice to get a win on the road and to give ourselves a bit of confidence. Because I look ahead to the next couple of games. We've got Preston at home, Norwich away, and that's 2 quite tough games. And bearing in mind,
our funny side.
Never beat Preston, do we? I mean, they're one of them teams that they're always not quite good enough for playoffs, but never going to get relegated. They're always a very solid Championship team, about 11th or 12th place side in the season type of team. But looking to this game specifically, we need to win because I look at the next 2 games. Preston at home, we never get a result against Preston, and obviously I'm hoping that will change. And then Norwich away, well, you know, Norwich you'd say are probably the favourites for promotion, although they're probably not as good a start as they'd want to.
They're just starting to kick into gear now, aren't they, Norwich? They're just starting to find their feet a bit. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a game I'm looking forward to, even though I'm going to the game with you, Reece, which I'm looking forward to meeting you for drink and all that.
Yeah.
I'd say 2-1 because I just think we need a 90-minute performance. we won at Hull last season, so at least we know how to win at Hull, which gives me a bit of confidence. I fancy Gyökeres for this game. I think him and Godden might get a goal each. Actually, I just have a fancy, and possibly I reckon Panzo will be a threat in set piece as well.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
We can't defend set pieces very well.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. It will take our corners, Reece, actually to think about if Hamer's not. I'm just trying to think to take it.
Probably Jamie Allen or Sheaf.
Yeah.
Well, Sheaf's Sheaf's got the height you'd want him in the box, but Bidwell might take the in swingers.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's a bit concerning, really, because if Hull are not good at defending set pieces, then ideally having Hamer whipping them balls in would have caused them a lot of problems. But it's going to be a tough game, I think. It's but we need the lads need to turn up. We need to kickstart our season, and we need to give the fans something positive to talk about.
Yeah, we've got to be up for this game. I think we started really well. It started like a training against Millwall, and then we sort of deteriorated as the game went on. But we need a 90-minute performance. I think we can win this game. The key really is how do we handle their strikers, particularly like Estupiñán, who I mentioned earlier. Apologies for the pronunciation, but he will be a threat for them, no doubt. So I think that's my major concern. But we're more than capable of winning, and if we can just win and get that first home game, the place will be rocking against Preston. I think we can hopefully start to climb up the table a bit, and get off the bottom, which will be very.
Yeah, it's not nice to see, is it? I know we've only played 2 games, but it's horrible seeing us sit there.
Well, hopefully we'll do Man United and we win. So and they won 2-1, so why can't we? So, see what happens.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Okay, that rounds off tonight's show. Want to thank guests Reece Small and Benedict, Hull City fans. Great to have you on. Want to thank. Yeah, no problem. Great to have you on. Also want to extend my thanks to our sponsors at Sky Blue Fans TV, Dylan's Brewery, Sky Blue Tavern, Ivy Lucy Designs, CCFC Prints, CCFC Fan Store, and Mr. View Sky. So thank you to them for supporting our podcast. Our next show will be this Sunday, another live show. Hopefully we'll be talking about a win against Hull. So if you want to take part on the show, fingers crossed. If you want to take part, let me know. If you want to come on as a guest and talk with us, more than welcome to. Or if you want to post any comments on YouTube or our Twitter channel at Sky Blue Fans TV1, feel free to leave comments. Much appreciated. And we'll have a Preston fan on as well for the show, and we'll get the lowdown on them. Hopefully this time we'll get a win against them for once. Thanks everyone for listening. Great to have you on, and we'll speak to you soon. Good night.
Sky Blues.
That's Sky Blues.